On the 25th of July, 1978, history was made, giving hope and options to all those yearning for a baby that thought it wasn't possible. You see, on the 28th of July, 1978, the first IVF baby was born. A beautiful, healthy baby girl by the name of Louise Brown. Since then, 5 million IVF babies have been born. Now, in thinking of the cycle of life, which is a series of changes that we all go through throughout our life, including reproduction, it is widely thought by many that they will reproduce within their life cycle. However, are we really defined by our ability to reproduce? The World Health Organization states that just over 15% of couples struggle with fertility. The emotional and mental impact of this is profound. My name is Emma Weaver, and I would like to share with you my IVF journey and a time when I had to show up for myself. We decided quite early on in our relationship that we wanted to have a baby. So, with lots of love, plenty of passion, and enthusiasm, we decided to set about making magic happen. After the first month, I remember laughing to myself thinking, did I really think it was going to happen that quickly? However, as the months went by after that, the disappointment and the sadness and the pain that I felt when it didn't happen was hard. At this stage, 2 family members were pregnant, and we were busy celebrating their pregnancies, deciding not to tell anyone about our struggles. After 20 months of trying, and we tried everything, ovulation kits, reflexology, acupuncture, legs in the air, different positions, even loose male underwear, and that wasn't for me. We had tried everything. So feeling very vulnerable and at a loss, I decided to contact the GP, who then sent us on to a consultant. There was lots of examinations and questions and intimate details, and I was now having conversations that I hadn't even had with myself, never mind openly with other people in the room. It was hard. We were then referred on to the fertility clinic, and it was there that it was deemed that we could not achieve pregnancy ourselves. Now let that sink in. We were unable to conceive naturally. Every emotion runs through your body. Shock, sadness, disappointment, anger, and grief. Now, even though we potentially had options, we still had to mourn the fact that we were unable to do this ourselves, and we found that very hard. We were then told that there was potentially a 2-year waiting list for the healthcare service treatment. 2 years, and you only get one roll of the dice. Imagine this issue is so prevalent that there's potentially a 2-year waiting list, and yet I'd never heard anybody talking about it. This is the first time I was even having these conversations. Anyone insensitive enough to ask us, when will you be adding to your family? We just brushed it off and said we were too busy. However, these comments are not helpful, and you truly never know what people are going through. At this stage, we decided we didn't want to wait the 2 years. So we thought we'd go down the private route and hopefully have a baby within the 2 years. The 4-hour round trip to our local fertility clinic was a strange one, and we would have conversations of hope and enthusiasm about becoming parents. It was decided, after more examinations and tests, quite evasive ones at times, that we were potential candidates for ICSI, which is a form of IVF where they take the sperm and directly insert it into the egg, leaving nothing to chance. We were taking no chances. This was going to work for us. After that, a schedule was then made up. Everything very meticulously scheduled around my menstrual cycle. This is a strange thing about IVF. You wish for years that your menstrual cycle won't come because that potentially means that you're pregnant. And all of a sudden, here we are hoping that it will come so that we can start ICSI to hopefully fulfill our dreams of having a child. The injections I found particularly hard. They were very stingy, and you had to take one in the morning and one in the afternoon, and they just took over my whole thought process. All day, all I could think about was taking these injections. I had to dig deep and find the courage to continue to inject myself. I tried different things. I tried ice cubes on my tummy to try and freeze it. I used to pull an elastic band on my wrist to try and divert the attention to injecting my tummy. I tried different things, and eventually it was chewing gum that worked. But, whatever works. The idea of the injections is to stimulate your ovaries to create lots of follicles to release the eggs for the best outcome. We were delighted. We got 18 beautiful grade A embryos. We couldn't have asked for better, and we were so happy. However, unfortunately, the roller coaster that is IVF, I had been overstimulated and had to freeze our embryos. We were devastated. At this stage, my tummy is like a pincushion, and my beautiful skinny jeans no longer an option for me to wear. All I could wear was skirts and dresses. And whilst in the grand scheme of all of this, that might sound very trivial, it was yet another option taken away from me. Waiting again then for my menstrual cycle to come around, such as the roller coaster of IVF, to get the ICSI started for the transfer. It's very strange, the embryo transfer. You potentially get to see your baby being conceived. So when you go into the room, you lie in the bed and you watch on a screen beside you as they insert the long tube with the embryo in it. And they release it. And you get to see all of this. Well, we just thought, that's it. It's went where it's meant to go, and perfectly healthy, beautiful blastocysts, which means we were able to create it to 5 days, which gives you the best option. And there it was. We seen it on the screen. We headed home for the dreaded 2-week wait. This is where you have to wait 2 weeks before you can take a test to see if it's been successful. During these 2 weeks, we decided to be kind to ourselves, and we went for lots of walks, and I ate loads of pineapple because I read somewhere on the internet that it helps the embryo implant. However, after the 2 weeks, we got a negative. We were distraught. Strange, really, considering it's only about 20 to 35% of people that this works for first time, but we were devastated, and it was beginning to take its toll. Still, we decided to tell nobody about our journey and the pain that we were experiencing. We decided to take stock and have a bit of time before we would go again. After all, we still had our beautiful blastocyst embryos waiting on us. When the time was right, we decided to go again, heading back down that same road, and we went through another procedure. However, we got another negative. It didn't work. So after 2 losses, the strain was beginning to show. We really didn't know what we were going to do. About 4 or 5 months later, a letter came in the post from our health service to say that we were now eligible to go forward for free treatment in the fertility clinic. We were excited and hopeful, but we decided this would be our last go. We wouldn't go through this again. We just weren't able, and it was taking its toll. We decided to do things a wee bit differently this time. We decided to be kinder to ourselves. So every time that I had to inject myself, which was twice a day, I'd give myself a wee treat. We also decided that we would reduce all the stresses in our lives. And this was lots of different things. It included people, it included working extra hours, it also included situations and environments that caused us stress. You see, when you start your healthcare round, and even though we still had beautiful embryos sitting, we had to go back to the start. So you had to go back through all the treatment again. And sometimes not talking about it was painful, and talking about it was painful. So really, we just kind of kept our heads down and kept going. Sometimes I would take the 4-hour trip on my own, and I would blast music the whole way up the road and the whole way down the road, just to build that feel-good factor within myself. The waiting rooms were full of people on the same journey as us, with the same blank faces, the same knowing that we were all going through the same thing, and yet nobody was talking about it. Nobody talks about it. In August 2015, we headed down the all too familiar road, feeling nervous because this was it for us, into the packed waiting room. Different faces every time we entered, with the same look on their faces. We waited to be called. We were called in, and I lay on the bed, as I had done twice before, and the doctor comes in. He doesn't speak. Not one word, doesn't speak. As I'm lying in the bed, he inserts the long tube with our beautiful embryo in it, and we watch on the screen, as we had done twice before. And just like that, we see a flash of white light. An unmistakable flash of white light appeared on the screen when the embryo was dislodged in. We couldn't believe it. We just looked at each other and smiled in recognition of what we'd just seen. It was amazing. The doctor then just gets up and says, "Okay, good luck, that's you then." So up we get and head back down the road again for the dreaded 2-week wait. I'm going to have to admit, I didn't wait the 2 weeks this time. I couldn't. And after 10 days, I snuck up the stairs and took the test again. And do you know what? It was positive. We got a positive test. And I have goosebumps every time I say that. We were delighted. And in 2016, our beautiful baby was born, all 9 pounds 6 ounces. Looking back on this journey, I've learned so much from it. I've changed as a person, and how would you not? What a different experience we would have had we have felt comfortable enough to talk to other people about our journey and not feel judged. Be kind to everyone you meet, because you truly never know what people are going through. And this doesn't work for everybody. Not everybody gets a positive outcome. I learned to show up for myself and not for others. What's love got to do with it? Well, don't you see? It has everything to do with it.